Okay, things are going to get even more crazier. So, there is a stopping point to this rent relief program, and it is about to end really soon. So, this article came out, and this doesn't sound good at all. So, I believe a lot of people are going to be impacted by this. So, some of California cities can't keep up with the demand for rental assistance, putting tenants at risk of losing their homes. And so, this is pretty serious. So, this is by Vanessa Wong, and I felt that this was going to end up coming really soon because I don't think they're going to extend any more than what they've extended. And so I believe they were doing it long enough so that a couple of more, or maybe, well, I wouldn't say a couple of more thousand, let's say that, maybe a couple of more million of people to try to apply for these assistance programs, or maybe wait until they're, you know, whatever, maybe they've already applied and they're waiting until the money is approved. So, tenants who are behind on their rental payments in at least four California cities have been unable to even apply for the emergency rental assistance. That's when you know things are about to end soon. So, as the local program administrators close the application process in order to work through the backlog, so they have backlogs that they're working through right now, and they're going to close the process of anybody trying to add themselves or trying to get assistance now. If you're just now trying to do that, you might be too little too late in every sense of the word, of looking at this the way it's written here, that the move has left thousands of tenants with growing debts to their landlords. No clear legal recourse to remain in their homes when the state and local eviction moratoria expire. We're really being blindsided here by a whole situation. This was said by the Los Angeles resident Mike Lobos Hayes, who is about $8,000 behind on his rent after he and his husband both lost income during this pandemic. So they don't know, I guess, what's going to happen after this, but nobody is communicating with them. So LA has stopped taking the applications at the end of April. They stopped taking them. For Long Beach, they suspended its program on July the 11th, but reopened it on August 11th, a day after being contacted by the BuzzFeed News for this story. So the reopening is because the city has recently received and secured additional state and federal funding. So when they run out of funding is also another reason why they close it. Um, but when they, I guess this particular organization, they reopened it when they were given more funding. So a Long Beach spokesperson said Irvine, which closed applications for a local program months ago, um, is now in the process of joining the state program. And it's a time consuming process as well that involves transferring data from the local system. So there's a lot of rigmarole. That's probably what's taking so long. In Anaheim, applications for tenants, they closed in March and are now only open to the landlords. So the landlords can apply, who have not always been willing to participate in the rental assistance program. So a spokesperson for Anaheim said that the city is still reviewing those applications submitted in the winter, but would reopen the process to tenants possibly at the end of this month. So this is what's been taking a while, and this is what the holdup's been. So not being able to apply for the assistance, which is ERA, harms renters in two ways. So not only are they unable to access relief funds to pay down their housing debt, but these tenants also miss out on extended legal protections as well. So the California courts are prohibited from taking up eviction cases against people who have filed for emergency assistance until determination has been made about their aid application through March of 2022. So in contrast, so that kind of helps to buy some time when they do end the moratorium. If you've applied and you've gotten in there, that helps you also to stay in your place because it buys you some time. So in contrast, people who have not filed for emergency rental assistance are only protected by the state's eviction ban, which is going all the way to the September 30th or until the local ban expires, if they decide to extend it, which it doesn't seem like they're really going to do that. We don't know. There's so much fighting back and forth on just this extension here. So this was said by a Russ Heinrich, a spokesperson for California Business Consumer Services and Housing Agency. So the federal ban on evictions ends October 3rd. And so that's when that ends. So do you have rental debts due to the pandemic? So you contact the reporter at, and it gives the number here. So if you'd like to share your story. So as cities and states across the country scramble to distribute the monies and the dollars in the federal funds aimed at helping tenants who fell behind on their rent during the pandemic, many local jurisdictions quickly found that they lacked the staffing and technical infrastructure to immediately process the deluge of requests. So that's what the holdup's been as well. So at least one city, Los Angeles, saw requests exceed its allocation of money while more applications began to pour in. So to meet the ongoing demand, some jurisdictions such as Santa Clarita, Oakland, Santa Barbara County, Solano County, and Placer County are referring applicants to the emergency rental assistance program run by the state. And so aside from the cities of LA and Long Beach and the rest of LA County, they can apply to the state program as well. So officials expect more local jurisdictions that were overwhelmed by the number of applications to move to the state's program. This is what Heinrich has said. So yet, even those turning to the state program face a backlog, with the state having only paid out 20% of the $1.4 billion it is administering from the first round of emergency rental assistance funding. So tenants whose cities or counties are not part of the state program are no longer accepting applications, however, find themselves helpless. And so that's where a lot of people are finding themselves helpless in the scheme of all of this. And so when residents of the city of LA entered their address into the state emergency rental assistance website, they are directed to the city program, but the site for LA's program states funding closed on April 30th. So Lobos Hayes said the administrator's responses to his inquiries seeking help to apply merely provided links back to the city's ERA program website. So it is just an endless loop of links that they send you. And this is what Lobos Hayes has said. He was 40 years old and started a small business just before the pandemic had began. So he and the husband have been paying partial rent, but their unemployment checks have not been enough to cover the full amounts of rents. So they are considering moving out of state if they cannot access rental assistance. So the representative from the LA Housing and Community Investment Department, which is managing the city's ERA program, told BuzzFeed News the application period for the first round of the funding was open for several weeks, and it closed on April 30th, and more than 110,000 tenants and landlords in the city applied by the deadline, and the $530 million in back rent requested exceeded the 236 million available. So that was what was reported in the LAist. So as more state federal resource become available, the city will determine when the application window can be reopened. So we expect this to occur. This is around September the 15th or sometime soon after. So the city representative told BuzzFeed News this. So for only advice from the city is to subscribe to its newsletter announcement of the programs, to reach out to Stay House LA, a program that teaches renters about their rights and connects them to the tenant advocate and attorneys. And so there's, I guess, other articles that are similar or related somewhat to some of these things having to do with, I guess, some similar issues about people having issues with back rent or whatever. So some people have been paying their rent. They just haven't been able to pay all of their rent. They've been using unemployment, or they've been using like maybe odd and end jobs here and there, and they've been able to get their rent down to, maybe a couple of thousands of dollars. And so a lot of those people are kind of waiting in limbo, waiting for things to be approved. And then you have these other people who they're just coming in kind of late and they might not be able to get any help. And then those who probably owed a lot of money, and I mean a lot, like 20, 30, 40,000. And so they are really extremely dependent on these programs. And so everybody's situation is different. So having said that, I'm going to let this go, but this doesn't look good because it looks like eventually they might be closing some of these programs because they're trying to work at the ones that they've already approved, and maybe they're trying to get through all of the people, the backlog that they have requests. And so that's how you know this thing is going to be bad. It just seems like either way, whenever this expires, it's not going to be good on any level, because you're still going to have a large numbers of people who maybe they were too late and they weren't able to get assistance. And so that's probably what is going to end up happening. Or you're going to have people that are so far behind in rent that it's probably doesn't seem like assistance is going to be able to accommodate their need, because they kind of missed that period when they were supposed to apply. Maybe they closed the programs. So it's a lot. It seems like a lot of bureaucracy involved in it. So anyway, I'm going to let this go. It seems like no matter how this ends, it isn't going to end good. There's no real happy ending to any of this. And with this new virus, well, actually, it's not new. It's a variant of the old one, COVID-19. I'll say it's the old virus that's still, it's not even, we don't even really hear so much about that one. It's more about the Delta Plus, Lambda, and who knows whatever else. I've heard there's been some other viruses that are in other countries. And I didn't even want to say this, but I've heard there's some other ones, that one that was supposed to be like similar to Ebola. And it's in, I don't know if it's in Africa, South Africa, but they've been seeing other viruses coming out. And I believe earlier in 2020 in the WHO, the World Health Organization, Tedros, he mentioned far back that you think COVID is bad and this virus, it's going to open the door for new viruses, or viruses that you hadn't seen before are going to come out. And I believe he was right. And I believe he knew back then that there was going to be a lot of egos, a lot of people with different beliefs. You already have a group of people, parents that are upset because their kids are having to wear masks because they brought that back in some of the school districts. There are people who are refusing to get shots. People who are using the FDA as the reason why they won't get their shots because it isn't approved. And now they're trying to get the FDA to approve the shots, which looks like they will be able to do that. And I feel like even with the FDA's approval, there'll still be people that will come up with excuses. I even was looking at, and I'm adding on to all of this. I know this is it's all connected, I believe, interrelated in certain ways as to why people are going through what they're going through. I heard that the universities, they had really nice schools that are real prestigious in the country of the U.S. And you have some students that were paying $200 to $500 to falsify vaccination cards because there have been mandates put in place now that you must show proof that you've been vaccinated, and all of these things are connected. I feel it's like the reason why people weren't not able to come up with their money is because they had a job loss. Like this guy you hear here, he said that maybe they had to close down their business because of the viruses, the sickness, and so a lot of people are put on edge financially. They were put in a situation that was really not any fault of their own, and so now you're going to have this really large group of people who have been kind of put out, all because they missed a deadline or they didn't have enough, to cover, or maybe it's so much that they owe that doesn't look like they're going to be able to pay it back. So, or maybe they're not going to be able to pay it back fast enough. There's got to be some things that have got to be worked out. But, it's looking like people who haven't applied for the rental relief programs, who are just now doing it, might be, for some areas, might be too late. And so that's what this is looking like. And so that poses another issue. So, well, I'm going to let this go. This doesn't look good at all. I noticed this right away, and I said this is going to be another event that's going to really affect a lot of people. Having said that, I'm going to let this go. Thanks for listening.